It is mad to think we have almost had one whole season with Ange Postecoglou at the helm of this Tottenham side. It's, to say the least, it's been a crazy season from start to finish. I know we've still got a few run-ins of the games left, but it's been a wild ride. Obviously, when we heard that Harry Kane was leaving and Ange was coming in to install a new way of playing, this high risk, high reward. We thought we'd give him a little bit of grace period, but he hit the ground running, and obviously we were picking up some amazing results at the start of the season. Obviously that Liverpool one, that bizarre game against Chelsea kind of showed that Spurs were willing to put their all into this new way of playing. And then recently we've had a bit of dip in form in terms of getting some really, really bad performances out of the players. Why I thought, considering how close we are to the run into the season, it'd be a great time to kind of sit down and work out what Ange needs to do and what Tottenham need to do to better themselves, not only for the end of the season, but going into the next season. And to do so, I'm joined with some familiar faces in this video that you'll definitely recognise to give me their thoughts and views on what needs to be done. Now, if you wouldn't mind liking, sharing and commenting your thoughts in the comment sections below, you might have the same thoughts and feelings as these guys. And do not forget to subscribe. I'm so close to 3k. It'd be amazing if we get there soon. Without further ado, I'm going to let these guys fire away and give me what needs to be done with Tottenham and Ange.
Hey guys, it's Sonny from Sonny Talk Spurs. Hollie has asked me the question what Ange and Tottenham need to do to improve this summer and for the rest of this season. So a bit of long term mixed with the short term. One short term thing they need to sort out is set pieces. Just, we're not good at attacking them. We're not good at defending them. So maybe a new coach is brought in the summer. I'm not sure Ryan Mason, Mili Jedinak are that adaptable to really deal with that scenario. So that is something to sort out. But in the long term, what do we need? Now, I think Tottenham's defence isn't the issue. Not the individual defenders. It's the midfield that needs sorting. So I think we need to go out and sign a world-class six. Not really sure who that is yet because, you know, Declan Rice, Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Rodri cost an absolute bomb. Can Tottenham afford that? I'm not sure. Do we need a destroyer like Pellegrini? Maybe. Or do we need a more versatile midfielder? So I think those are two key issues that need to be sorted by Tottenham in the short term and the long term.
I don't think we're in crisis. I don't think we're in free fall. I think we're in a good spot. We've had a good season and we can build on this. But I am worried about our defence. And I think one of the key things to that is getting a number six in, a proper number six, who can command, who can drop into those gaps. Maybe just a slight tactical tweak in the positioning of Porro and Udogie. We also sold the best striker in the world, as everyone knows, Harry Kane, £100 million last summer. We've got to go out and buy a striker that's going to hit the ground running. I like Ivan Toney, Dominic Solanke, Victor Gyökeres, someone that has got English football experience, can hit the ground running. That's going to be vitally important. We also need to look at Sonny's long-term successor. I love Sonny. I still want Sonny to start, but I'm not entirely sure that Timo Werner is the answer. I think it's only subtle changes, but if we can do that, get 5 or 6 players in the summer, we'll have a very good season next year.
We've had an exciting and encouraging first season under Ange Postecoglou, but there is work that needs to be done between now and the end of the season to finish in the strongest way possible and in the summer to allow us to really kick on and mount a serious challenge next season, whether that's in the Premier League, whether that's in Europe, or whether that's in the cup competitions. We've got a massive run of games coming up, starting with the North London derby at the weekend, and I think there's been a few areas in our squad that have been exposed over the last few months. We've become weak at defending set pieces. We've become weak on the transition as well. Two things that concern me going into that game, and two areas that I think we really need to improve upon between now and the end of the season to make us less vulnerable defensively. Hopefully we can welcome Richarlison back for this massive run of games. I think he's going to be pivotal between now and the end of the season. Recent performances at Newcastle and at West Ham have shown we've massively lacked that focal point striker, and we really, really miss him. It makes us more vulnerable in that transition. We're not able to hold the ball up as well and bring our other forward players into play. We really need to address that going into the summer, whether that's by signing a new striker or whether that's by signing a winger that's going to take the workload off Sonny. I think we need to address both areas. I think Nico Williams has to be a priority, or someone of that profile, that 1v1 specialist, and I think Ivan Toney or Dominic Solanke would really allow us to kick on next season. In terms of how we play, look, there's always going to be questions around Ange and whether he needs that plan B. But with very high risk, high reward football, with a young squad in that first season of a rebuild, there's always going to be bumps on the road. Sometimes we look amazing, sometimes we look poor. We certainly saw that against Newcastle. They played incredibly well against us, but we know there's going to be bumps along the road. We know it's going to be rocky, and we just have to accept that. You know, we have to be up for this rebuild. I think all of the foundations are there. I think in terms of being vulnerable defensively, like I said, we obviously have those issues with set pieces, but I think signing that proper number 6 to compete with Basuma is going to be key going into next season. Someone like Amadou Onana with such a high signal, or João Paulinho at Fulham, I think would really take us to the next level. Thank you for having me on again, Hollie. Absolutely love the channel. Looking forward to be back on with you soon. Nice one.
What the Spurs need to do in the summer to better ourselves for next season, I don't know where to start. We had such a great start to the season. Them first 10 games unbeaten, top of the league. Ange Ball was at full flow. You know, we were flying. But teams have found us out now. Ange has only got one style of play, one plan. That's plan A. He ain't got a plan B. And he needs to focus on making a plan B, because teams have found us out now. And that's why we've been struggling with results recently, because he don't know how to change the game up when his original plan is not going too well. You know what I mean? And at this level, teams are going to find the littlest of things to catch you out and to counter on that. And they have found that already. And we need to change our ways in the summer. And he also needs to get new additions in. He has been backed already, but there needs to be further back in. As we all know, you know, Rome was not built in one day. We still need more additions. I would say the two main top priorities for Spurs this summer to sign are a number 6 and a striker. As we do not have a striker, we've played Son there all season, who is not a striker. He started off very well, don't get me wrong, but he's better out wide, and I would like a proper out-and-out striker, like an Ivan Toney or an Osimhen or an Ollie Watkins or an Isaac. Whether or not we have the capabilities of getting these players in is another question, but those are the ones I'd like to look at, and they would strengthen our squad massively. Number 6, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe Paulinho from Fulham, I like the look of. Onana at Everton. So those ones are the ones I'd like to look at. But yeah, those two positions we need to focus on massively in the summer. And then we can look to add additions in other positions, like maybe left wing, maybe to have a cover for Son, or a competition on the right for Kulu and Brennan. But yeah, striker and number 6, two main priorities for us this summer.
What's happening, everyone? Luke here from Park Lane Podcast. How does Ange Postecoglou improve this Tottenham side? Well, first of all, I think that I need to express how much of an unbelievable job that he's done since he's joined Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, we are conceding more goals, but in terms of how we're playing and the attacking emphasis and the fact that we're taking it to the big teams would really show some positive points from his point of view. But moving forward, there's a few things that we need to change. Number 1 is tactically. So I don't want him to change exactly how we play, just very slight tweaks. So, for example, both fullbacks push forward at all times. It could happen that one only pushes forward. It could happen that we play with a back 3, and then they can push forward a lot more, allowing the other centre-backs to push across and create a much more defensive line. There are a few things that he can do, but will he change his attitude and his aspects? For that, only time will tell. In relation to summer signings, I think it's imperative that we get a big, strong, tall centre forward. I think someone like Alexander Isak, whether we can or not, whether we have the financial power to be able to buy him or not, is a different story. Someone like that, Gyökeres at Sporting Lisbon, would be another good shout for that position. But I think that's ideally what we need. Richarlison isn't it. And Heung-min Son, I think, would be unbelievable on the left-hand side with a prolific striker, just like he was with Harry Kane. The only other position that I think we really need to work on in the summer is that number 6 position that everybody talks about, that Ange talks about himself. And, a lot of people are saying no to this, but I think Conor Gallagher would be an absolutely unbelievable purchase. I think we could get a good deal at Chelsea with him, and I think he would be absolutely outstanding in this team. I think he would score goals. I think he would defend well, and I think it would be a brilliant signing. But, onwards and upwards for Spurs, and a massive come on you Spurs.
Hello Hollie, thanks for letting me come onto the channel. Just a quick disclaimer, it's not me that's driving, so anyone who films whilst driving, well, you're a mug. What to do for Tottenham? And to be honest, I feel like the start of the season was just one big hype. The results, as good as they were really, as soon as we hit a standstill and hit a wall, it makes Ange look like he's a bit of a one-trick pony. I say that because, you know, defensively we've improved so much with a back four, but we're still conceding a lot. And this inverted fullback stuff as well, like, I don't know. It's the first season. I'll give Ange another season. But what I will say is that I do feel like this fan base was too quick to jump onto Conte and to Mourinho. But there seems to be a bit of a leeway with Ange's mistakes. And, you know, I personally don't really want to get onto Ange just yet. You know, if it's a second season and we're seeing similar things, then for me, that's where red flags would be. But it's his first season. He needs another transfer window. And that's where the club comes in. We definitely need a change of front three. Brennan Johnson, as much as I like him, he should not be starting week in, week out. Heung-min Son isn't the replacement striker for Harry Kane. And Timo Werner he's just not good enough. The guy can't hit a barn door. Like, yeah, he's a pacey guy, you know, but what good is it? You know, you could put a road runner on the wing. It would do a very similar job to what Timo Werner does. Let's face it. He's more suited for Bundesliga, where the high line is there and pace merchants like himself can thrive off of that. But the Premier League isn't quite like that. What I will also say is that we definitely need a new number 6, a new CDM. Højbjerg, you know, he doesn't fit Ange's system, but he does do well to come off the bench. But again, I think he'd be more suited to a defensive club with the likes of, I don't know, Atletico Madrid, for example. Having said that as well, Basuma, for me, I think I've lost patience with him. We need another CDM. I'm not asking us to spend 100 mil on a Declan Rice-esque sort of player, but we need someone that can do the job to sort out that middle and for our back line. That's all down to the club, though. I mean, if I've got to be dead honest, though, I'm not really expecting much from Levy or the owners, because, you know, next year, probably still trophyless, because it's who we are, mate.
What's happening, everyone? I hope you're well. I go by the name of Patrick Tyrant. Yeah, I think that we need a real number 9, an out-and-out striker, someone that can get us 15 to 20 goals a season. I said at the beginning of the year on many a podcast that I'm on that for me to really believe in Richarlison and really for him to warrant his place in the starting lineup, he needs to bag at least 15 goals. He's currently on 10. He had a good patch, a little period, a blue, you know, a purple patch as they call it. But at the moment, he's on 10 goals a season. He's in and out, inconsistent with injuries and form. I don't think he's good enough to be starting for us week in and week out if we want to get to the next level. It's harsh, but it's true. It's the reality. Playing Son as a 9 doesn't utilise Son's key strengths. And we obviously don't get the best version of Sonny there, but we have to because needs must. So we need a real number 9 so Son can play on the left wing. I still feel we need an out-and-out real 1v1 wing specialist that we can rotate with Son and you know, so Son again can basically, you know, float around and do different things and we can not be so predictable. I feel we need good backups in the wing back, full back areas, because Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie are starters week in and week out, and obviously that is probably the position on the pitch where you do the most work, the most leg work, running up and down the channels, and it does take a lot out of us. We've just heard the bad news yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday, so obviously yesterday we heard the bad news, the shock that Udogie's out for the season. We don't really have anyone that can step in and utilise or just basically can do what he does. There are people that can fill in, but they're not fullbacks. So yeah, we need another good right back, another good left wing back, and I feel we need a real good defensive midfielder, a solid number 6, a steely enforcer, someone who's happy to just sit back, mop up, sweep up, and give the ball to the more attacking minded players. When you look at someone like a Paulinho at Fulham, a Declan Rice at Arsenal, a Rodri at Man City, you know, quality players that just do that role and fill in perfectly. We've got really good central midfielders, but none of them, unfortunately, can do what I feel we need to take us to the next level. So those are probably the 3 areas that I need. And also, from Ange's standpoint, I want to see more flexibility in the way that we play. We're quite one-dimensional at the moment. When it works, it's fantastic. But obviously, when it doesn't, there's nothing else we can do. we're quite predictable and easy to play against because of the way that we set up. And obviously managers seem to have figured us out now, so I need to see tweaks, but that will only come with better quality players that can also fill in. I'd also like to see another number 10. I know I'm going on a bit here, but another 10, like Alex Scott was a perfect example of that. Came from Bristol City in the summer last year. Obviously now he's at Bournemouth, but he's a Spurs player, well, he's a Spurs fan, and he's a creative, quality little player. So we've got Maddison, but when he's not firing, when he's not on form, which he hasn't been in the last 5 or 6 games, there's no one that can do his role. I would love to see another player, creative player of his ilk that we can obviously turn to and rely upon when there's injury, suspensions, or when someone's just not in form. So yeah, that's it for me. Hope you're well. I hope we enjoy the rest of the season. 6 big games to go. Get behind the team and come on, you Spurs.
Well, there you have it. There's definitely some mixed opinions and views in this video, which is actually really cool because I think it's great to get a great perspective on the whole Tottenham fan base. But it's going to be interesting to see what is done over the summer, what Ange can install and potentially new players coming in and those going out. And hopefully we can even better ourselves going into next season and maybe with European football as well. But we've still got a few games to go. So like we always say, come on you Spurs.